Hello again. I'm Ave Pildas. This is my second in the series of My Heroes. Last week we talked about sequence. I'll continue that today. I gave a shout out to Muybridge and Ray Metzger, Elliot Kaufman, and maybe a couple others. Today I'd like to talk about Duane Michals. Duane Michals was very influential to me. The first image that I saw of his was called Chance Meeting, and it was the two guys passing each other in an alley and just kind of wondering what, it made you think, kind of wondering what was going on. One guy stopped and looked back and thought, well, maybe he knew the guy. So that was pretty interesting for me. That was I think I saw that image in maybe 1971 or so. And I went and bought a little book called Duane Michals Sequences. It was a little black square book. I was fascinated by it. I liked that image, but there were other images that I didn't like as much. I didn't buy into writing on the images and telling the story so that there was a photograph and a narrative that was handwritten. That was outside my acceptance at the time. I wasn't attracted to those as readily. Then there was another image that I really liked. It was called Fall. It was called Fallen Angel. It was, just like a story of someone lying in a bed and an angel coming and joining them in bed, and then it was a love scene, and then it was a guilt scene. I mean, it was, if you looked at each frame, you could a story about each frame. Those storytellings really started me thinking about, could I tell stories with pictures? Most journalists try and do that with one picture, but I wanted to extend the life of the photograph and do it with many images. So now, after seeing Michael's sequence, I made a sequence on Hollywood Boulevard. I had set up on the street, and so my camera was on a tripod. Charles, who's in the top image, got off of the bus, and I asked if he had been to the track. I asked him if he would pose for a picture. He was quite dapper. So he sat down, I started talking to him, and there was traffic going by, and we were having a conversation. Then a guy that I knew who was in his tennis outfit stopped and said hello to me. And then another guy walked by, a sort of a Hollywood character. His name was Simon. Charles looked around, and then Simon wanted to know what was going on. He was a character actor. So he joined the conversation, and he finally just kind of shoved Charles out of the way, and then there was a conversation that started with Simon. So that was kind of the beginning of me making sequences. Continuing with that, not in the exact same location, but on Hollywood Boulevard, there was a Greek restaurant that had a little show window, and I set my camera up, and people would come along and look in the window, and I didn't really talk to them much. But they were just passing by. So then I had people passing by. They were all going to the left in the first two frames. Then there are people stopping that I'm engaging with in the middle row, and people getting closer to the camera. And then they're walking back out of the frame. And in this case, there's 20 pictures to make the story. This really got me started. So now let's flash forward, and we're flashing forward maybe 40 years. During that time, I made other sequences, but this was a sequence, and it's in color, and this was a way to combine backgrounds and patterns and sequence. So this was looking down at a mall in Santa Monica, California. I was particularly interested in the shadows. And as you can see, I flipped some of the pictures so it looks like the shadows are going in different directions, and trying to match them up so that they make these diamonds. So the backgrounds, which is the floor of the mall, makes a diamond, and then the presentation also makes a diamond. This was probably in 2018. And then that led to the most recent sequences where I've taken them out of the boxes and then just kind of jammed the boxes together. And in doing so, I'm still using, in this case, I'm using the stairs, the Capitol stairs in Rome. And this is all handheld, so they don't match up exactly, but good enough to keep the background. And also, I think that I've made a number of these sequences that don't have the people's faces in them. You don't need the people's faces. This is just of traffic, and it's foot traffic. So it's people going up and down the stairs. Some of them are a little further away and then closer to the camera and then further away again. So I've tried to match up the shirts or match up the directions or the people's arms or something, but it allows you to look closely at people, at parts of people, look closely at their hand or look closely at what they're wearing or what shoes they have on. So you don't need to see the person. You only have to identify them by their body postures or what they're doing. I continue to do that. I have, since this one in 2018, I probably made a half a dozen or more of these sequences. I will continue to make them along with other work that I do, which is street photography and also studio photography. As you can see in the beginning, my images were really influenced by Duane Michals. But as I worked through what I thought sequence was, they got further and further away. So I've developed my own style there. And I thank Duane Michals and all the other people who have worked in sequencing, and hope that there are more people who are working in sequencing. And it's fun for me. And I hope it's fun for you guys too. By the way, if you're working in sequence or you know somebody who's working in sequence, just send me your image in the comments, and I'd like to see it. I think it'd be fun. That's my hero for today, Duane Michals, and I'll see you again next week.